In this video, I'm gonna break down the 7 fundamental laws of text game. Whether you're more focused on dating apps or day game, knowing how to text women is one of the most fundamental skills to master. You could have the best cold approach on earth, but if you get her number and fumble over text, you'll never be able to convert your leads into dates. So pound that like button, hit subscribe, and let's get into it. So the first law of text game is what I call the buyer frame. In every interaction between men and women, one person is the buyer and the other person is the seller. More often than not, men adopt the seller frame. We put women on a pedestal and try to prove our worth to them. But if you actually want to build her interest and land dates with women, trying to prove yourself worthy of dating them is one of the worst things you can do. It's a sign of low confidence. And because every man is constantly trying to sell himself to women, it's one of the fastest ways to lose her respect. So if you want women to take you seriously, stop trying to sell to them and instead adopt the buyer frame. The easiest rule of thumb to know whether you're the buyer or the seller is to take a look at who is asking the questions. If she's asking you questions, it puts you in a position where you need to qualify yourself and answer the questions correctly to win her over. But if you're the one asking her questions, it puts her on the hot seat, forces her into the frame of trying to prove herself to you. So if you can make a habit of asking her playful questions, you'll find yourself in the buyer frame and be so much more likely to land dates. For example, with this girl, I matched her on Tinder and said, "Do you know why I swiped right?" She said, "No." I could get used to that smile. She said, "Haha, it's rare." I said, "It sounds like you could use a reason to smile more." She said, "Definitely. Let's see what you can do." This is her adopting the buyer frame, trying to get me to prove myself to her and say, "Oh, I'll do all these things to make you smile." But we don't want to do that, right? Instead, we want to adopt the buyer frame. So I said, "Let's see if you can earn it." And she comes back and said, "Good answer," right? She's basically validating me by saying, look, 99% of guys would have simped here and tried to prove themselves to me. And girls don't want that, right? They don't want guys putting them on a pedestal and becoming a simp. And throughout the rest of the interaction, I was able to get her number. And it's mostly due to the fact that I established such a strong buyer frame. All right, law number 2, do not send her paragraphs, okay? As a general rule of thumb, you never want your text bubbles to be bigger than her text bubbles. A lot of guys think that the way to build her interest level up is to text her with giant paragraphs to show that they're putting in effort. I see this especially when women are leaving short responses. Guys think to themselves,
if I just put in a little more effort, eventually she'll see that I like her and then she'll respond with longer text.
But the opposite is true, bro. When you send long paragraphs, you come off as needy. And if she's giving you signs of low interest, the solution isn't to show her that you're more interested because it reinforces her behavior of sending you short text messages. So instead, try to match her energy. If she's sending you short messages, send her even shorter ones. And if she's sending you long paragraphs, you can invest a little more attention into your texts, but I would still avoid writing paragraphs. 1 to 2 sentences are all you really need at most. As a general rule of thumb, before I send a message, I like to ask myself, would James Bond send this text? If not, shorten it and make it more concise. So one of the guys in my online dating cheat code matched a rocket and he said, "You don't look like you're from this area." She said, "I'm from Ukraine." He said, "Ukrainians might be my new favorite then. When did you move here?" She says, 1.5 years ago. So you can see she's keeping it very short, right? He says, "Ah, so not too long. I just hope you can keep up with me." She says, "Do you want me to?" He says, "Of course, babe. I wouldn't want it any other way. You're cute. What are you looking for on here?" "Anything that life will give me." "Haha, what does that mean? Just going with the flow, yeah?" She said, "Yes, LOL. If something short or long, just fun, I'll take anything." He says, "Haha, I feel that. Well, shoot me your number and we'll see what happens." And just like that, number secured. This girl was being extremely short with her messages, but he didn't try to compensate for that by writing giant paragraphs, right? You could see his tone was super chill, to the point, and it worked out very, very well for him. With that, let's get into texting law number 3. Don't become her pen pal, okay? This one is super important. You want to avoid having multiple conversation threads in your text messages. This is really common during the small talk phase. While you're getting to know each other, a lot of different topics will come up and it's easy to get lost in the sauce of a conversation with multiple topics at the same time. This is problematic because the point of texting isn't to get to know each other. It's to build interest and set up a date. The time you should be getting to know each other is in person on the date, not over text. If you do get lost in these multiple threads, You're a lot less likely to get a date because she's putting you in the pen pal territory. So to avoid chats with multiple conversation threads, you typically want to avoid any job interview questions. If you do find her asking a lot of different questions about you, this is the perfect opportunity to escalate towards a date. Like in this example. Another one of the guys in my online dating cheat code matched with a beauty. She said W bio and he said W lips. She said LMAO, be for real. He said, I mean, they look so soft. She says, appreciate you with 4 U's. Where are you from though? So jumps into a job interview question and he says, starting to feel like a job interview, LOL. Why don't you let me tell you on our date? So he uses the job interview question as an opportunity to escalate because she's obviously interested in getting to know it. She comes back and says, he said a job interview, LOL. All right, are you free tonight? And just like that, date secured. If instead he just kept answering all of her job interview questions, that conversation would have gone absolutely nowhere. So if you do find yourself in pen pal territory, escalate towards a date. And if it doesn't work out, just be ready to move on, bro, because she's just likely wasting your time. This ties perfectly into law number 4. You need to keep it playful. Nothing dries women up more than a guy who sends dry, platonic texts. When you're in the small talk stage, women are trying to put you into one of 2 categories, the friend zone or the date zone. So at the beginning of your interactions with her, there's a fork in the road with 2 paths, the platonic path to the friend zone and the playful path to the date zone. You need to initiate a playful conversation that keeps it fun for her. If you are on the platonic path, it's very hard to switch back over to the playful path once you're a few messages deep. So have some fun with it, okay? Tease her a little bit. It's better to be bold than to be boring. Just avoid being overly sexual because you risk getting banned on dating apps. Another one of the guys in my online dating cheat code said one-on-one, winner gets ... She said, winner gets what? He said, winner gets to kiss the loser. She said, I'm cool with that. Good, because I won't take it easy on you. Good, you don't got to. He said, love the confidence. You're cute. What are you looking for on here? To be honest, I'm not looking for anything serious. I'm just trying to meet people, make friends, and someone who I can chill with and maybe cuddle. He says, same, I feel that. We'll get along really well. You better be a good cuddler though. She says, oh, I'm really good. He says, we'll just have to see you back that up. And just like that, number secured. So yeah, keep it playful. Don't feel like you need to walk on eggshells on dating apps when you match a girl. A lot of the time, they're on these apps to hook up and have fun just like you are. So again, keep it playful. Let's get into texting law number 5. And this one is super important. So make sure you pound that like button and hit subscribe. Law number 5, scarcity creates value. We all inherently want what we can't have. And when something seems too easy to attain, we find it less desirable. So if you find yourself constantly chasing women, trying to make plans and overextending yourself, it's likely that you're gonna get ghosted or have women lose interest in you. This is especially important in the making plans stage. If you ask her to hang out or meet on a specific day and she avoids making plans, don't keep chasing her trying to make other plans. Instead, it's better to pull back and make her come to you a little bit. The last thing any woman wants is to be with a guy who's overly needy. You also don't want to come off as overly available. If you're constantly responding to her messages within a couple of minutes, it's insinuating that you don't have anything else going on in your life. As a general rule of thumb, you should match her energy with response time. If she texts you once a day, don't be so eager to quickly make plans. But if she texts you more regularly, you can respond at a normal pace. But just give it at least 10 minutes so it doesn't look like you're just waiting on your phone for her to hit you up, all right? My favorite way to create scarcity is to turn my notifications off on my dating apps. That way I don't get overly excited when a girl messages me, and instead I just check the apps at my own convenience. This ensures a healthy response time and creates scarcity. Remember, King, by showing her that you value your time, she will value it too. So with this girl, I tried to make plans with her yesterday. She didn't respond to me all day and then hit me up late at night saying she wanted to go to the club. I said, oh, thanks for the invite. I'm still recovering from yesterday, so I'm probably just gonna keep it low key tonight, but would love to next time. She said no problem. Now, rather than following up with her while she's at the club dancing and drinking, I just left it at that, and she actually came to me the next day. She said, hey handsome, how's it going? I texted her about 4 hours later and said, hey beautiful, what's up? Just kind of matching her energy, not overextending myself. She said, all good, how about you? Would you like to meet up this week? I texted her 2 hours later and just said, yeah. She texted me instantly and said, when would you be available? happy face. So I texted her 24 hours later and just said, come have a drink. She said, where? I said, my place. And she said, sure, send your location. And just like that, cheeks clapped. Because I wasn't rushing into making plans with her and made myself more scarce, it insinuated that my time was more valuable. So when I did ask her to hang out, she jumped at the opportunity. Now, law number 6 is kind of a funny one because it's in direct opposition to law number 5. Law number 6 is to be persistent. I know what you're thinking.
Hunter, you just told me not to be needy, and now you're saying I need to be persistent?
Exactly, bro. There's a big difference between being needy and being persistent. A needy guy is constantly chasing women who are low interest, and the more her interest lowers, the more he chases. He chases women like he needs to have her and will do anything to make it work. The persistent man isn't afraid to follow up from time to time, but he doesn't bend over backwards to make things work. He thinks to himself, I'd like to have a date with this girl, but if things don't work out, that's fine. With that being said, you will need to double text her from time to time, especially with more attractive women. The more options she has, the more walls she's gonna build up before she lets someone in. So here are a couple examples of the best double texts to send without sounding needy and just sounding persistent. First up, did you get abducted by aliens? Another one I really like is, look, I get it if you're kind of nervous. A couple short and sweet ones as well are good talk and or not. By following up with a bit of sarcastic humor, you're showing her that you're not begging for her attention, but just checking in. Some of the hottest women I've ever dated required a double text, but it only works if you avoid giving off a needy vibe. If you do follow up with her and are met with a ton of low interest, just know when to walk away. All right, law number 7, and this one is a doozy. Don't rush in. As cool as it looks when you see a YouTube video of someone speed running Tinder and setting up dates within 3 messages, this is the least effective texting strategy. 99% of the time when a girl casually agrees to making plans with you early on, she's just shooting the shit and isn't being serious. If a girl is down to meet you within 3 texts, let's be honest, bro. That's kind of a red flag, right? On the other hand, if you're constantly trying to set up dates on the dating app within a few messages, you're leaving hundreds of dates on the table. The best strategy I've found to convert matches into dates is what I call the SIMP framework. It's an acronym that stands for small talk, intentions, match her energy, and phone number. This framework does a really good job of building her interest with small talk, establishing a buyer frame by checking her intentions, making her feel comfortable by matching her energy, and then escalating the conversation to a more exclusive inbox by securing her phone number. Once you have her phone number, that's the time to set up the date. If you follow this framework correctly, she's gonna take you way more seriously, feel more comfortable with you, and be significantly more likely to end up on a date with you. For example, I matched with this absolute baddie and said, I want to be your dog's dad. Okay, and should I call you daddy too? If you're a good cuddler, I might allow it. She may be biased, but my pup says I'm the best cuddler. But if you don't believe me, you can ask her yourself. I said, damn, she talks a big game. Let's hope you can back it up too. So that's all the small talk. You can see the playful banter, the buyer frame, and all the other texting laws kind of come into place here. So I moved to the next step of the framework, which is intentions. I said, you're cute. What are you looking for on here? This gives you a lot of good information on the types of dates to take her out on, right? If she's looking for something casual, a Netflix and chill might make sense. But if she's looking for something more serious, maybe you gotta go grab ice cream and go for a walk at the park. She said, I just got out of a relationship, so nothing too serious at the moment, more like casually dating and a little bit more than friends with benefits. What about you? So now that I know her intentions, I'm gonna move on to the next step of the framework, which is match her energy. I said, yeah, I feel that. Nothing super serious, but looking to go on adventures and have good cheek clapping, to be honest. She said, can't argue with that. Where are you from? So again, she tries to go into job interview territory, but by now, you know what to do at this point. It's a good time to move on to the next step of the framework and escalate by getting her phone number. So I said, glad we're on the same page. Do you have a phone number? I don't always check this app. She said, yeah. And just like that, number secured. From there, I texted her the next day and set up a date over text. So much of the time when we fumble over text is because we've ended up in a 6-foot hole. We've made so many consecutive mistakes that it's hard to climb up out of the hole that we've dug for ourselves. A lot of the time when I'm coaching my clients with their text game, I find that they started to dig a 6-foot hole very very early in their texting conversations. Whereas if they just used the right type of opener, they would have established a playful conversation from the start that easily converts to a date. And that's why I created the ultimate pickup line guide. In this guide, there are 25 insanely effective pickup lines, as well as my overpowered opener framework, so you can start a playful conversation that leads to a date with literally any girl you meet. And since you made it this far in the video, I'm gonna give you this guide absolutely free. All you have to do is go down to the link in the description of this video, and you can get instant access to my ultimate pickup line guide right now. If you have any questions about text game, drop them in the comments. Make sure you pound that like button, hit subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.